All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Now, our very special guest and featured titan today, I'm super excited, Jesse Zagorsky. Jesse, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you on the show today.
Absolutely, Greg. Excited to be here, man.
Yeah, this is great. And all the way from beautiful San Diego, California. We were talking a little bit before we were going live here, and we're having the craziest weather in Colorado. So I envy you, my friend. I truly do.
Cyclone, snowstorm, whatever.
Bomb cyclone, yeah.
Yeah, the marketing of snowstorms is a totally another level. In San Diego, all I know is sunshine, right? We're like, oh, it rained today. Oops. Okay, now back to sunshine.
You lucky man. You lucky man. I love it. I love it. But Jesse, I'm so excited just to share with the entire audience in the Titan Nation, you as a man, as a brand, as a professional, and a true professional in the industry of real estate. So if you're all right, I just want to dive into the series of questions and go for it.
Let's do it.
So let's just start with telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I was born and then I grew up.
Oh, I love it. End of story. Next
End of story. No, in a very Oliver Twist fashion. No, I actually always wanted to be a rock star. So you and I were chatting earlier. I have a guitar. If you're watching this or if you're listening on audio, there's a guitar that's on my wall behind me. And it's there because I really did want to be a rock star, like a legitimate guitar playing, putting out albums. I mean, I put out 8-9 albums. I used to work for MTV in the marketing department.
Get out.
Yeah, but I've always had kind of two paths, right? So I have a degree in economics. I went to Berkeley, and then I started working in corporate finance. Wow. And at the same time, I was like, but I want to be a rock star. So I left my corporate finance job, and I moved to New York City, and I started sleeping on my friend's floor and playing guitar, and my early 20s. And obviously I didn't become famous, right? You don't recognize me from music, right?
Well, I was going to say famous in multiple ways, my friend. So
yeah, but in the music world, like that, it never went anywhere, right? Never went anywhere. And I took a detour through Italy. So left America, went to Italy, early 2000s, and just hung out for 6 months, decided what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Wow.
And moved back to San Diego and decided to get into real estate.
Okay, now, because that's an amazing story just in and of itself, and breaking that whole piece apart. But when you got back stateside, and from your travels and your thought process, why real estate? Why? I mean, what was the thought?
And we joke about this, some of our real estate friends, that like there's this very small group of people that are young and are like, you know what I'm going to be when I grow up? I want to be a real estate agent. Like that's a really small group. Yep. Most real estate agents, even successful ones, I feel like they just wake up and one day you're a real estate agent. Like you just like, how did I end up here? I'm not really sure, but it's how it happens. So for me, my parents were always entrepreneurs. They had all sorts of small businesses. I was raised in a very, very entrepreneurial family. It's just, it's how my mind works. Okay. It's filtered with how I see the world. And my parents had sold one of their previous businesses, which was a chain of appliance stores. Okay. And then they did some software stuff and some other things, and decided that my mom was like, oh, I'm going to go into real estate. My dad had his broker's license for 30 years, but never actually ran a brokerage. He just had his license on the side as one of those things that, entrepreneurs do.
Sure.
So my mom became a real estate agent, I think in 2001, 2002, something like that. Okay. And she actually started working online leads. She was one of the first people in the industry, I think, really like going deep in online leads at the time. And she did like 45 deals herself her first year. I was like, I like this. This is awesome. And then when I moved back from Italy, she was like, hey, Jess, I think you'll like real estate. You should get your license. I'm like, sure, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
And I was her assistant for like a week.
Wow.
And then we're like, okay, this will never work. I could possibly be your assistant. If anybody, have ever, done mother, son, father, son, family business, brother, sister, some dynamics work really well. Sure. Some dynamics don't. And my mom and I worked together fantastically. We worked together still do actually 15 years later. Wow. But we kind of split it up that I was obsessed with marketing, strategy, the sales portion of it, like moving things forward. She would meet with clients because she had done that by herself, but then she was more back office operations, making sure things ran smoothly. And that's how we partnered up and divided it up from the beginning. And it always worked really well.
Wow. And if you're looking at it from that standpoint, having that, that initial influence of entrepreneurialism and real success into the business world, I mean, that always sparks a thought process. But the real estate side is just a curiosity to me. And I agree. There's so many professionals, as you said, that they wake up and one day, hey, I'm here. I'm in real estate, and it's a wonderful place to be. I mean, it's an extremely difficult industry, but a wonderful, wonderful place to be for true pros. So with that being said, Jesse, so, over a decade of doing this, you had mentioned 15 years. So take us through kind of your path to where you are today in real estate. What's that look like?
So I jokingly say I've kind of done every single position in a real estate office, from answering the phones, booking appointments for other agents, listing specialist, buyer specialist, toilets are dirty, clean the toilets,
Right.
managing broker. I mean, really, and everything in between.
Yeah.
If something needs to be done, I've done it and I've tried it, and I've seen this industry kind of evolve and shape and grow as we go. What I love the most is really, I mean, I love my clients. I really do. You talk to agents who get burnt out on clients, and there are times where it's, there's some frustration, but I really do like people. I'm a people person, and I love clients. I got a call from I had a new lead come in. I still do work. I run a team, but I still do work with some of my own clients.
Love it.
And had a call come in, late last night, and jumped on it, and talking to this guy who's moving back from the Mideast, and he's moving his family back here and relocating. And it's exciting being part of someone's process like that.
Wow.
It also helps that this is a high-end luxury buyer. So the houses we're talking about were really, really very cool houses.
Sure.
It
doesn't hurt.
Elements of excitement, but it doesn't matter the price range.
Right.
So I think as I went through these phases, starting off, working mainly with buyers and working mainly with listings, from there, as I started studying the mechanics of real estate, studying what it takes to move a transaction forward, I'm pretty nerdy and I'm kind of obsessive like that. So I would just absorb and then start teaching people, absorb and start teaching, read and teach. And that turned into then launching a team. That's the natural extension of learning and teaching, is then you have people around you. They're like, well, let's help some other people learn how to do this. And went from there.
Oh, that's huge. And making the impact, in a community such as San Diego is not an easy feat. There's definitely a lot of competition into there, and being a part of the top 1% in San Diego, to me, it speaks for itself as far as who you are as a professional and a team lead, and really what you've done that way. So I want to go a little step further, because this is a deeper dive into you as a person, and obviously, it goes into the professional side with it. Is what's your why, Jesse? And what motivates you, gets you excited every day out of bed to do what you do to the level you do it at?
Yeah, and it's interesting because this one has really changed over time. Originally, I didn't have a why. Okay. I was one of those people. I mean, really, I was. Sure. I would talk to all my. I've always had real estate coaches, and every coach I've had. By the way, if you hear the train coming by, my office is right on either the right side or the wrong side of the tracks. I'm not really sure.
I love that.
we're like 4 blocks from the beach here in San Diego,
okay.
and Encinitas, like 4 blocks from the beach, and that comes with the train.
Oh, I love that. And so everybody, just if you weren't watching and just listening, that was not a ringtone, as you heard Jesse say. That was
an actual train. Yeah, if I turn the camera out the window, you could see literally watch the train go by.
That's awesome.
All right, so back to the why. I think I would frustrate every coach I had who would do these exercises to get you to your why and try to bring you to that point of tears to get connected, because when you have that deep passion, but I never had one. I didn't. I was just always wired to do the best I could at whatever I could, whether it be competition or a mindset of service. But I just am kind of obsessive like that. And when I get into something, I want to do it really well.
Okay.
I remember there was a trainer that told a story, and I think actually Tony Robbins told a very similar story about going to visit the Dalai Lama, someone in the spiritual world, and he was all excited. Whether it was Dalai Lama or someone like that, he was going to visit them, and they and he was all excited, and he got there, and the person said, all right, well, I have something for you to do first. Why don't you go hang out for another week, and we'll talk in a week. He's like, what do you want me to do? And he sent him to the kitchen. And the guy's like working in the kitchen. And he's like, I can't believe I traveled halfway around the world. He has me washing dishes. This is terrible. What the heck is going on? Have you heard this story before?
I have not. This is great.
I always remember this story because it ties into this thought of why. And he's sitting there washing dishes. And about halfway through the week, he's like, all right, look, I got a choice. I can either be miserable that I flew half around the world wasting my time washing dishes, or just be the best darn dishwasher I could possibly ever be. And so mindset flipped, threw himself into washing dishes, and was joking around with all the other people in the back of the kitchen and having a great time, and just seeing how fast he could wash, how many, and what they could do. I think part of me is naturally like that, and part of me reminds myself that, like, whatever you're going to do, if you're going to wash dishes, wash dishes. And so being present in the moment and just being connected with the activity you're doing and fully absorbed, it just allows you to do things at a higher level.
Wow.
With that said, now that I'm 40 and I do have kids, now my why is easy. My why is my kids.
Okay.
But it took having kids to get to that point where now if I don't want to get out, because there's mornings you don't want to get out of bed.
Sure.
Right. And on those mornings, like, well, I got to get out of bed because I mean, really is creating a life for my family, being the family person I want to be, as well as creating an income that goes along with supporting a family in North America.
I love that when it comes down to it, Jesse, and you broke it down beautifully. And I don't know if we've ever had a Titan, really say those things that you said as far as the initial why, or as you say, lack thereof. But there really is. It's to be the best at what you're doing. And again, that analogy to, if you're doing dishes, be the best person at doing dishes. I mean, if you're going to be in real estate and you don't have that compelling direct why above and beyond supporting your livelihood and your family that way, then just be the best at it and make an impact. The family, when it comes down to it, and especially children, it's hard to beat that why. And I think that that's important, that everybody out there sees that consistent message through evolution. You've evolved as a man, as a professional, as time goes on, as you should, in a positive way. And I just think that that's a perfect example for everybody out there who's watching or listening. Like, look at what this man is talking about, listen to what he's doing, and then really find that finite why. And even if it isn't a why, just be the best at what you can possibly do. I mean, that's what I'm getting out of what you're saying, Jesse.
It's 100%. And without going in circles here, but for me, it has always been about getting in action, right? So every time they would say, go find your why, go figure out what motivates you, I'm just like, if I just know if I start doing stuff, it makes me do more stuff, and I do it better, and just be in action.
Wow, that's huge. Okay, and so this is a beautiful segue into the next portion, because you're talking about.
Good. I set you up perfect.
This is awesome, Jesse. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. So when it comes to this one, this is a crowd pleaser. Everybody wants to know what the Titans are doing or have done to grow and scale their business. And you had mentioned action. I think that's a huge portion of growing and scaling. But if you could look back at your career thus far and pick or choose one or two things that you might have added to your business that took it from one level to the next, what's that look like for you, Jesse?
Yeah, I think the first thing that really allowed me to take my business from one level to the next was probably leverage.
Okay.
Understanding the concept of it in all aspects. And I'm not just talking about hiring people to work with you. I'm talking about in every aspect of, as you go through the business, where you look at where can you scale, where can you use, I always believe there's three ways you can leverage.
Okay.
You can leverage through technology, you can leverage through systems, or you can leverage through people.
Wow, love it.
And the difference between tech and systems is that tech is like, literally, we're on Facebook right now. Or that's a piece of technology, right? Or we have CRMs. I know you have a tech background, but systems it doesn't have to be tech-based. It could just be, you do the same thing the same way every time.
Right. They could be physical systems. They could be processes that you have in your physical world that have nothing to do with technology, through the process of transactions and communication.
Correct. So really being obsessed with leverage, and I never put into those terms, but as I look back on the last 15 years, that's the pivot points that I see that kind of took me up, is every time I really embraced leverage and figured out ways that we could do more with less.
I think that's brilliant. And there's so many professionals that they have a hard time understanding that concept, or they think that they have to be truly 100% involved in every single tiny aspect or granular feature. And it's very difficult to grow and scale from that. And again, hearing it directly from you and so many other Titans, and everybody who knows the business is nodding and shaking their head, yes, you're right. But I want to dive a little bit deeper into that when it comes down to different processes, systems, and technology. So we discussed a little bit beforehand, but true AI and your involvement with that and what's going on. Would you mind sharing that with the audience, kind of what that's all about?
I'm really excited about true AI.
Okay.
So this is a couple of us. There's a couple tech people that are these brilliant tech developers, along with Tristan Ahumada from Facebook had an idea I'm sorry, from lab coat agents had an idea and then brought it to these tech guys who have just been kind of playing with it and massaging it. And what it is in real estate right now, we have a lot of chat bots and a lot of text matching, conversational autoresponders, basically.
Sure.
In simple words, you have a machine that's responding based on what people are saying, but they're not really that smart.
Right.
They make a lot of mistakes, and they tend to say things that sometimes, like if you're having a machine represent you as a real estate professional and the client says something and the machine comes back and says something silly, like it's embarrassing because some of these things, like they're supposed to look like real people, but they come across so badly that I either wouldn't use it or like, oops, that was totally wrong. So true AI is that it's still being developed. So it's
okay.
We've rolled out a pre-launch right now, but they're finishing up development. It'll be ready to actually launch in May. It's using deep learning where this conversational AI actually learns as it goes. It continues to develop and learn more conversational patterns and actually understand and recognize the speech that people are using. It's built on Google actually has an open source AI, without getting too techie for people listening who are like, where did you just go with this?
Where's Jesse going? No, go down that rabbit hole, Jesse. We love that.
This is the future of how real estate agents, again, going back to leverage, to scale our communication. We're not outsourcing our actual connections. It just allows you to connect with more people, and then you get to do the authentic part where you're actually servicing them at a higher level, and you can service a larger group, but using this artificial intelligence basically to assist you.
Okay, so you said, and again, you went into some detail, but I know that there's people out there like, I want to figure more out about that. Yes. I want to reach out. So with True AI, you said May, hopefully launch period.
It launches May.
Okay, so links for anybody to go to or click on, because I'll put stuff in the comments down below. But
put it in. It's true-ai.io.
Okay.
True-ai.io.
Okay, I'll put that down so everybody can reach out. And obviously, everybody out there reach directly out to Jesse if you have any questions or thought processes, anything from a true Titan here. But then again, we'll have a bunch of data and info so you can connect, you can do research and further foremost. So Jesse, I love that. So when you're talking about, leverage, automation, things like that, any other thoughts, growing and scaling business, obviously besides bringing in True AI, but any other thoughts, or do you want to keep moving on for the next question? It's up to you.
No, I mean, just last thoughts there in terms of other things for scaling. Depending where you're at in your career, taking a really critical look at your systems. Mm-hmm. So these are the things that you're going to do on a repeated basis. Those were the areas that we were able to scale up. But then the part we didn't talk about at all that I do need to mention is people. When you look at any entrepreneur in any industry, oftentimes real estate is the same, but almost I think any industry, there's three ways to leverage. The biggest place where people lack is typically people. Leverage to people, whether it's back office help, agents that work with you, whatever it is. And not that everyone needs to start a team. There's ways to leverage without starting your own team, but just it's usually people, which is both the most wonderful and also the most challenging.
And there's so many professionals that I communicate on a regular basis, and that is kind of the pushback. So to your thought process and to dive a little deeper into that, in your opinion, Jesse, when is the right time, or is there a right or wrong time to grow and scale that way and add those systems? I mean, if you're giving somebody who's starting out more so, or maybe somebody who is a long-term veteran that just hasn't really let go, I mean, what's your advice to them?
It depends on your goals.
Okay.
If they're living the life they want to live and they're totally happy, keep doing it. If you're feeling that there's something that's missing, or because most human beings, if they're not growing, they're dying. Like it's one or the other. It's very hard to stay exactly where you are. You get bored, whatever it is. So if you're like us and you're just kind of on this growth path, then you're going to notice you're going to have something's holding you back, or notice some plateaus. You never grow in a straight line up. It's usually grow, plateau. If you hit a plateau, and oftentimes you get feedback from the people around you or from other things in your world that you'll know, yep, I'm at a plateau. That's when you have to look at what can I let go of to grow again.
Oh gosh, this is brilliant. This is invaluable information. Everybody pause this, rewind this. Jesse is a genius. This is so great.
I wouldn't go that far, but I will take you with me wherever we go. You're welcome to come and just be like, Jesse's a genius, guys.
I will do this. Make way, everybody. Genius in the room. But no, seriously, Jesse, this is great, applicable information for everybody, business entrepreneurs, and especially into real estate, to really understand automation and growth and leveraging yourself and your time and your aspects. And again, the conversations that I have on this similar vein, it's a lot of professionals do want to grow their overall revenue. But at the end of the day, there's a lot more professionals that I'm having contact with, especially when they've been in the business for a long time. They just want more time. They want to leverage and automate and scale so that they can be with their families, so that they can go on more vacations and still have their business grow and operate in a proper way with not affecting their clients at the end result.
Right.
So I think it's brilliant what you're saying. And I absolutely love it. And the perspective is through and through. But I want to go into the tricky part of this series and interview, and it's the challenge question, Jesse. So I always lead into it with the Titans this way. It can be tough, but we all
I'm
got
ready.
challenges in our lives, whether it's in the past, now, or into the future. Whether it's personal or professional, it's not so much to me what happens, but what we learn from and what we can share and respond to. So, and again, not taken away from personal or professional pain by any means, but if you're comfortable sharing a challenge you dealt with, Jesse, that you overcame, came stronger because of it, what's that look like for you?
Yeah. It's interesting. As you talk about it, I haven't had a lot of personal challenges.
Okay.
Really transparently, because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and
Sure.
you hear some of these stories, and you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a buddy who runs like a good friend who runs one of the larger independent brokerages in the country.
Hmm.
I think they're up to 600-700 agents.
Wow.
They're a fantastic broker, and his story is he came over to this country in a boat when he was 11 with $0 in his pocket,
Hmm.
like as a political refugee. Like, I mean, really, it was like one of these things where, like, you hear him tell a story, and I've heard him tell it in a small group and in a large stage in front of everyone in the audience is bawling.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have anything like that.
Wow. Yeah.
I,
I hear you.
I grew up in a nice upper middle class family. I had entrepreneurial parents that I'm actually incredibly grateful.
Hmm.
But on the challenge side, I'd say probably more comes in business.
Yes.
And it's because so much of my identity is tied into being a successful business person. And it
Aha.
took me years to kind of realize that. And I still bring myself to that I am an individual person that is totally separate from my business identity.
Hmm.
Right? Like, success or failure in business doesn't mean I'm a good or a bad person,
Right.
although I spent years still equating those two together. And so
Wow.
in the last few years, um, my team has both good and bad phases. It's
Mhm.
just have a life cycle to anything. And I made some choices with the team that I expanded very quickly. And looking back, I mean, we can dive into what I did that were my learning mistakes, but made a couple of choices as we expanded that they were not the right decisions.
Wow.
Like really not. And I looked at our volume, and I had backed off working with clients myself and was really relying on running the team for income.
Okay.
And we started off the year, and it was terrible.
Hmm.
I mean, really, like, expenses were high, income was low. It was the perfect storm for, as a business person, not good.
Okay.
But if your identity is tied to yourself as a business person, then now as a person, now really not good. So I started getting pretty depressed.
Okay.
I'd never had a phase in my life that I felt depressed. I didn't have a tough childhood, and that I don't naturally, lean towards depression.
Sure.
Uh, but yeah, it was a pretty rough, uh, probably 6 months,
Okay.
just feeling more and more down, not knowing what to do. And then a couple months in, I did, back to the whole idea of getting in action. I
Yes.
did know that, okay, I'm learning what to do to fix the team portion, but I
Mhm.
know that I can only control the controllables. I can only control myself and my actions. So I'm going to jump in and do the smallest possible steps I can take myself each day to move my business back forward, and started working with clients, just back to prospecting. My things that I did to build my business early on, I
Hmm.
literally went back to basics.
Wow.
And the cool thing was, it actually worked. And so
Love that.
6 months later, we're back, we're cash flow positive for the entire year. I mean, we started off the year deep in the hole and
Sure.
ended up cash flow positive for the year, made money, um, and built the business back up. But it was just kind of taking a few steps backward, what felt like going backwards, in order to get back to what we needed to do.
Jesse, and thanks for sharing that, because it's not easy to really discuss the pain points or anything that's going not so great. And especially on social media, people are very positive and they try not to rain on anybody's parade. But I think that's what you were mentioning to me. It's that old adage, you got to pull the arrow back and then release it to launch it forward. So, a few steps back, moving forward, I can absolutely appreciate that. And then going into the standpoint of really looking at it and saying, hey, getting back to the basics, that's something that really, at the end of the day, and obviously you learn that firsthand, and so many other professionals do that way. They really set things up, things are rocking and rolling, and then I don't want to say there's that shiny, object syndrome, but there's different things and different rabbit holes that we all go down of interest to try to grow and scale with good intentions. But then we start to get away from our center nucleus of what really makes it work. And in real estate, as you said, it is a people business, and the best of the best, they never really ever leave the basics.
Right.
That's the foundation, and they add things through process on top of it. But that's a learning experience, right? Because you have to venture out. We all go to that thought process. We say, okay, well, we've been doing this for quite a long time, and now it's time to add on to that, do something new. We don't want to get stuck behind, right? We don't want to just keep doing the same thing and hope for a better result. But the fact that you mentioned that, Jesse, that means a lot. It really does.
I love it. Yeah. It's, I would like to say I'm jealous of those people that don't get sidetracked.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure almost every real estate agent gets sidetracked. It's
You're
just
so right.
part of the nature of what draws a lot of us to real estate. I mean, maybe if there's any recovering accountants that got into real estate, they don't have as many, as keen to distraction and shiny object syndrome.
Sure. I think that it's tough. And again, the best of the best, they all do have that portion of sidetrack, but I guess the tighter that you stay on the basics, the better. But whoever those people are, please comment down below. Let us know. Give us some advice onto that, because it's not easy. But, I think it's all learning experiences. And the fact that you had mentioned that on the personal end, that there's not a lot of challenges there, Jesse. I mean, we all have them as time goes on. And again, the man that you are today is because of those foundations that were built. And there's nothing wrong with being positive and happy and really looking at things from a perspective. And, it's just, we always got to look at what we have and I guess play the cards that were dealt, but then really try to expand upon that, make anything better in any situation. So, but yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing that. It's not easy to do. So I appreciate that, Jesse, all the way through and through. I want to shift gears, because this one is a happier, softer question.
Okay.
One of my favorites. No one has a time machine, but if you did have a time machine and you could go back in time, Jesse, and this is any age range, any time frame of your life, and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, what would you say to young Jesse?
It ties into what we were just talking about.
Okay.
Focus. Right?
Yeah.
Like you said, those experiences made me who I was.
Right.
However, as you gain wisdom and experience going through it, you can see the pattern of doing 6 things at once isn't always a recipe for success. In fact, it has never been in my career a recipe for success. It's been the phases where I pick one thing, I go deep, master it, and then maybe you add another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just keep doing the same thing. But as you do one thing and you master it, and as I look around at the people around me and model after other successful people, that's the pattern I see. So really focus. I'd say as best you can, or learning to say no more often.
Yeah.
That would be, you read about things and people who are like, I just say yes to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried that. It doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
I'm someone who's wired that way to be drawn to say yes. So it's fun to be like, oh, look, they're saying yes and they're working for everything. But then when you look at most really successful people, I find the advice that keeps resonating with me is they say no more often than they say yes.
Mm-hmm. Well said. And they do. And I'm a firm believer, and this is my opinion, chime in everybody if you want to in the comments below, but that by saying no, you're doing better product, you're doing better service, you're serving yourself, your family, your clients in a better way than if you were spreading yourself out and saying yes to everything. Right. And some people think, oh, well, you're rude, or why wouldn't you help everybody that you can possibly, there's only so many that you can help, but you got to be able to help yourself first to help others. And there's only so much finite time. And again, professionals like you, Jesse, who actually did say yes to really being a part of the Titan Nation and taking the time and to give, I don't take that lightly. And I know the audience doesn't either, because there's a million other things you could have said yes to and 2 million that you could have said no to. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that I appreciate, but you're right. You're absolutely right what you're saying.
Yeah. And I'm not telling people to say no to being part of the Titan Nation. I'm just saying,
hear that, everybody?
When you do find something that is good, whether it be Titan Nation or anything, when you do find something you're going to say yes to something. That's what moves things forward. It's just about being a little more critical in what you're saying yes to.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a true statement. And again, for people that are in the customer service oriented, or if you want to even consider sales, business and factor, especially into real estate, we do want to please people. and it is a people business. But again, I think that the ultimate result is the more you say no, you will be pleasing more people, and you just got to give it a shot. If you haven't done it, try it. I mean, it changes your world. I mean, right, Jesse? I mean,
100% it changes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant advice. And again, not just for young Jesse. This is why I love this question. This is application that we can all apply today, right? If we can't change the past, it is what it is, but we can change now in the future. And I think that's brilliant advice all the way through from a Titan, everybody right here. You're hearing this.
Love it.
So Jesse, I want to go into the next one. This is actually the second crowd pleaser of this particular series. It's the feeding of the mind question. So everybody wants to know what the Titans are feeding their minds, how they're growing intellectually. So books you're reading or have read that inspired you, podcasts you're listening to that you enjoy, influencers or coaches on social media. How are you feeding your mind, Jesse?
All the time.
Love it.
I'm someone who reads, consumes podcasts, all sorts of things. So I'll rattle a few off. Oh, and
Yeah.
I've had a real estate coach my entire career. I've been in a number of different real estate coaching companies.
Wow.
My current coach is Michael Hellickson with Club Wealth, which is a
Love Michael.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the book I'm reading. Let's see. I've got like 5 copies of a book that I've read that clearly must be influential if I keep it on my desk a bunch. It's a book called The Like Switch.
Oh, interesting.
Have you read that one?
I have not.
Oh, dude. All right. This one is, let's see here. So this book, The Like Switch.
Yes.
I read it a few times now, actually. It's in terms of anyone who's in a sales profession, if you're looking for kind of a how-to manual on how to be more of a connector and not just like ideas, but this guy actually trained, he trained spies for the FBI and recruited spies and not trained them, but recruited them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be able to recruit a spy, you better know a little bit about how to connect with people, get it deep at their core of what's done. And he really is very scientific about, he didn't know exactly how some of this stuff worked until he went backwards and reverse engineered himself. Mm-hmm. That's a fantastic book to check out.
Love it.
I have also lately been reading, I don't have a copy of it here, but one of my buddies sent me a book called, what's it called? If It Doesn't Kill You. It's actually nothing to do with sales or real estate. I want to Google it, make sure I've got the right book name, but it's all about cold therapy. Have you heard about this?
I have not.
Wim Hof, Wimhoff. It's a book about Wim Hof and cold therapy. Okay. It's how exposure to extreme, not even extreme, but like cold temperatures, right? And other sorts of things like that actually trigger parts of our biology to regenerate and heal ourselves.
Unreal.
It's rad. It's so cool.
Unreal.
So my friend sent me this book, and then my wife went to a random course, didn't know what it was, and was like, hey, I'm going to learn about this cold therapy. And this book had been sitting on my nightstand for months. I'm like, oh, it's that one. I've got it right here.
Here it is.
Yeah, those are 2 books lately I'd say that I've been into.
Love it. And again, 2 totally different topics and thought processes, but it's stimulating your mind. And as you said, Jesse, you're constantly learning, and the best producers and best professionals in this world, they're lifelong learners. It's not that piece of paper, the degree, and then you're done, or it's not just your first 10 years in real estate and then you're done learning. It's just nonstop.
Always. But that's what keeps it fun for me. So there's a podcast called Quick Brain. Do you listen to Jim Quick?
I don't.
Oh, dude, it's so good. KWIK, Jim Quick, Quick Brain.
Okay.
And they're all short snippets, like really 5 to 10 minutes on ways to improve your brain function, neurohacking, things like that. Huh. And it's just always fun. And if I keep learning, it makes it fun for me.
Yeah, and I think that makes it, obviously a more rounded individual and thought process to be able to have the conversations and open, because especially in real estate, there's just so many different walks of life, and there's so many people that you come across every single day, not just on your team or other colleagues that you have, but I'm talking about your clients, buyers, sellers, investors. I think it's just a good way to go. But, I think that it's just important to find kind of what you're excited about, whether it's in business or not, and then just keep learning, keep growing. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're physically reading books or listening to it or watching it on YouTube or, again, hiring a coach, I think is crucially important going through to take it up to different levels that way. But there's so many options. So, I just think it's great. You got to find yours and roll with it. So. But that's awesome, Jesse. And again, as everybody knows, I'm going to have links in the comments down below so that you can feed your mind and learn very similar to how this man is, or at least try to. So Jesse, this has been incredible. This has been a whirlwind of just really, really actionable items and great content for everybody to take away. I want to finish everything up with a final question. And this ends up being a quote or mantra that sums you up as a man, as a professional. What's that look like for you?
Ooh. So my mantra professionally these days has been to support agents in making more money and less time while having fun.
Hmm,
That's really just 6 words: make money, less time, have fun. And
love
it's
it.
about supporting agents in that. For my personal mantra, I grabbed my little AirPods case. I just had this. It just says one word on it, which is breathe.
Oh,
And just a
wow.
really simple mantra for me, because I am a very high energy person. I get very excited. And this
Sure.
is again, back to the learning to say no and all these things that tie together as I look back on my life. When I take a breath and I actually breathe, it does so many wonderful things for me. That is my current mantra now. I don't know if that doesn't sum me up as a man, but it's a very good instruction for myself.
No, but Jesse, I think that's beautiful. And again, it gives everybody a window into you and your thought process, obviously for caring for your team and really looking at it from an individual standpoint. I think that's brilliant. And again, everybody just breathe. I mean, I think that's important. Listen to what this man is saying. Just breathe. You can take that however you want to take it.
It says something about me that I have to write down a reminder to breathe and keep it in front of me all day long. Right.
He's a busy man, everybody. He's got things to do. He's got clients to handle and team. But Jesse, thanks again. Again, absolute honor to have you on the show. It was a killer experience. And I know that everybody absolutely loved and appreciated the time that you took. And it's just an honor for sure.
Thanks so much, Greg. Really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and you are an official real estate titan. I have to say that, Jesse, because it's a part of everything. You are my friend, and that's right, everybody. But I just wanted to thank everybody, as always, for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like what we're doing here for Real Estate Titans, please follow what we're doing. Again, follow Jesse. I'll have links down in the comments below so you can learn from one of the best and brightest minds. I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Linebolt Media. If you're looking to grow and scale your business digitally, take a look at lineboltmedia.com for more information. Live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.